your host of 180, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. And I also want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to give a big shout out to Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for women in recovery. Just go out to their website at Beyond Fear to Freedom for all the things that they're into, including, if you want to, I think this is great, especially for people that don't live in the Phoenix area. Become a Subscribe Tribe member, and you'll get their live Facebook feeds, which, by the way, are awesome. I mean, these girls generally, weekly, knock it out of the park. I'm all over what they're sharing and teaching, and look at all the people that have come to the Lord and been delivered from addictions, imprisonment. I mean, these gals got it down. And if you want to write me, go ahead and please do so. My email address is steve@180uturn.com. That's steve@180youturn.com. And I love your scriptures and all your admonitions. And again, my theology isn't there, so don't write me. So don't write me on theological questions. Today, we're continuing our story with Johnny Brici. Welcome back to the show, Johnny.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, listen, if you missed Monday's show, you need to hop out it and watch this series in succession. 5 parts, Monday through Friday. You'll really get the full benefit. And we really have a kind of a unique situation with Johnny coming from Romania as a young child, coming to America, and the things he experienced, which some of what he experienced in America bothers me. Because everybody should be welcome. If you came here legally, you are welcome in America. If you became a citizen, you are welcome. And you need to get off it. If the guy doesn't speak your language, if the guy doesn't look like you look, I mean, I'm just tired of the whole thing. And so that's just me. Sorry, I'm done with my pulpiting. Okay. Now, today, I want to talk about, you're up in Vancouver, you're 8th grade. By the time you get in 8th grade, you have a world view of things. You're thinking differently. This isn't the same young boy in Romania being brought up in a Protestant, you're still believing, but things are now starting to chip away at your belief system, starting to chip away at how you view God, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your early thinking and how that went.
I guess I could say this seed, it came into my heart when we came to the States in Chicago. Because in Chicago, what happened is growing up in the Protestant church in Romania, coming to the States, coming in that one bedroom apartment, and then seeing my mom cry and seeing the suffering, for example, that was going on, for example, not having a pair of shoes to go to school with, having the same clothes, having clothes passed down, having this. I says, this thought came into my mind: how could a loving God allow suffering? Mm-hmm. How could a loving God allow my mom to suffer so much? Mm-hmm. And then this little seed, I guess you could say, that kind of came into my heart. It was there, but it just kind of never went away. And then kind of having that worldview, and having kind of things kind of change in going to church and then going to school, and this kind of completely just I saw a lot of hypocrisy. I saw a lot of fakeness. I didn't see love. And I just says, man, God is not real. God doesn't exist. I started having this thing. I was like, it's a bunch of fake. I don't see people actually living this gospel. I don't see people loving this gospel. I see people preach to me, but they're not. That's not what they're living. And this gave me a worldview that I don't think God exists. I don't think God is real.
Well, actually, I'd like to go to the front end of your statement, which you said, hey, if God does exist, what's going on here? Because this is not a loving God. This is not a providing God. This is not a God of provision, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's interesting to me always how a young person at 8th grade will all of a sudden figure it out and go, if there is a God, I'm assigning blame onto him.
Yeah,
that's
that's not fair.
It's not fair. And I think about even my own childhood, and a lot of our listeners know it. I'm thinking, I was too reverenced as a Roman Catholic to ever get involved in thinking God is bad in any degree. I just can't even think in that way. It was totally different way I approached God until I got into teenage life. Okay, now when you got there, you started to you started to rebel, push back on your beliefs, and then when you got into 10th grade, this is where things starts to go south because everybody's smoking weed. Right, everybody. I mean, and if you think your kids don't have it, or they don't have it, or even if it's in a charter school, I mean, you are thinking so wrong. Go ahead.
So I pretty much exactly like you said. By 8th grade, we started experimenting. Kids were smoking. Kids were doing things they should not be doing. And things that you didn't think that were going on. They were happening.
Kids.
They were going on.
Kids. Yeah, kids. Not growing up 7, 18 years.
No, these are like adult things. This is not healthy for any child to be involved in. And So by 10th grade, I started, of course, my freshman year in high school, I started experimenting with weed, cigarettes, things like that, and in a way just to kind of be cool, kind of join.
But clandestinely, right? Because you're not doing this out
No,
so your parents can see it.
Oh, this is definitely hidden.
Yeah,
This is private. So I'm kind of doing this just to kind of fit in. I want to fit in. It started kind of, making me feel good. I started being the cool guy in the school. Started being the cool guy in my group, in my crowd.
So you're moving up the pecking order.
I'm moving up. I'm definitely moving up, and I'm moving up like the guy that has the things at the school, the guy that's the bad guy at the school. If you need something, you could go to him. He has, whatever you need, or he could get it. He could figure it out. And by 10th grade, I came into contact with Percocets. And I remember it was just prescription bottles, and and me and my brother found it, and then me and my brother talked. We looked into it, what it was, and so let's try this out. And I remember taking I forgot how many milligrams it was, but I remember taking a Percocet, and this Percocet, it gave me my peace at the time. It gave me my joy. It gave me my assurance. It gave me my boldness. It gave me my courage.
Oh, that's a powerful pill if it packs all that benefit in there.
Oh, yeah. For me, it packed everything, and I felt in a way, I was God. I felt in a way I could go in any environment. I could go in any situation. I do not feel, bad about myself. I could go anywhere, and I could do anything. Anything I would need to do. Anything I put my mind, I could do.
Now, we haven't even gotten into the bad dope. I'm doing Percocet. I'm a Superman.
Yeah,
that's what I just heard.
Exactly.
See, I when I had a athletic surgery issue, I took Percocet for the pain. The moment I got done with the pain, I was done with it. I'm not going to play with that. And so you're not only doing Percocet now, you start moving into the other. You're still in legal pharmaceuticals, but you're illicitly taking them because they're coming from either your folks' cabinet or somebody else's cabinet.
Yeah, this is like 2001, 2000. Many people, were not. They were just kind of thinking of for example, like Vicodins, Percocets, whatever it was. They were just kind of thinking like you take them for pain. So they thought of like Advil or like Tylenol. And I was able to get them anywhere. So I would go to my friends. My friends, they would just their medicine cabinet would be full. I would just take them. They wouldn't even ask a question.
I often wonder if mom and dad are abusing these drugs, right? So if they have a chest full, right, a cabinet chest full of dope in there, and this is legal stuff, they're getting prescribed by the doctors who write any prescription, right?
Yeah.
How bad can that be?
Yeah. I don't know. It's possible. They were there, and it was just easy to take and easy to have, and I had a buffet, I guess you could say, of these things, and I would just take them. I even gave them out for free to people. Like, let's have a good time. Let's kind of.
So you're giving away Percocet, Oxycodone.
Yeah,
right?
Vicodin.
Vicodin. I mean, you guys are a legal pharmacy of illicit way of getting it, right?
Yeah.
And to me, this is. I've said this before. The Greek word for sorcery in the Bible is pharmakos, translated in our language, sorcery, right? And dope, even this legal status that we're in, at least right now in the show, this stuff is still opening you up to things. I mean, you think you're Superman, you're invincible, you can go to any situation and take it out, you're going to be successful. It bolsters an ego that doesn't really exist. I mean, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just, like, for example, I was shy a little bit as a kid too, and like, for example, I would have to do speeches at school, right? I would have to do a presentation. Well, I'm not going to go on my own accord. I'm going to go. So I just pop a couple pills, go in front of the speech. I have full boldness. The teacher says I did a good job. I feel good about myself. Everybody will feel good. Everything's good. And it just made it an easy thing to do. Just pop a couple pills and everything's good. You could go. I would go to anywhere I would go. I would want to be in any environment. I would go to church. I would actually pop these pills to feel good about myself,
So I love it. You got the presence of the Holy Spirit at church. I'm doing Percocet and Vicodin and Oxy,
good.
Right? I mean, I'm not sure. I love how I'm not sure. I think these are opposing forces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you graduated from high school, went to community college, right? And this is the stunning thought. I don't know if this is deliberate. I'm going to ask you. And you started working at a pharmacy. Now, did you start working at a pharmacy so you could have access to all of these other things?
No, it was a job. It just dropped on my lap.
Yes, I would say the devil hired you on this one.
I would say the same thing.
Oh my gosh! All right, so you're working at a pharmacy, and now you have access to everything across the board, including controlled substances that are way worse than Percocet. I mean, as far as
I was absolutely. I could say then I started really getting educated on how pain pills work, what you could do. I was sneaky. because I would go talk to I was a pharmacy technician, and then I would go ask the pharmacist, and I would ask the pharmacist questions like, how do I mix these two compounds? And then the pharmacist was like, oh wow, you're interested in this. But I wasn't interested for the sake of the job. I was interested for the sake of myself and what can I do and how can I sell? So I got like a little master's degree in pills.
I know you got a PhD in streetwise pharmaceuticals, and your teacher is so blind that he doesn't see that he's just feeding some street kid, unbelievable. And this is why I'm saying, it's like when I was talking to somebody in a show early on back in 2010, the guy goes, Steve, how do you have such a good idea? How do you have a good handle on these pharmacies and so forth? I said, well, there was a time that I didn't know the Lord. Right?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue in Johnny's story. This is amazing that he goes, the pharmacy job falls in his lap. And it sounds like it's another setup. And this is why I say to yourself, sometimes when things are so good in things that are illegal, watch out. It may have nothing to do with the hand of God. It might be not your marketing and engineering ability. It could be something from below writing the script for your life. To me, that's kind of crazy. We come back from the break. We're going to do more about Johnny Brici's story right after a break.
Do you think it's appropriate for me to share, for example, like sometimes I would take some of these pills from the pharmacy?
Sure.
I think it's okay.
Yeah,
no, if it goes that way.
You're past the 7 year.
Okay, I don't want to get rid of it.
Right, it's been a little while, right?
It's been over 10 years.
Okay.
It's okay, but we're making mention of the names, so it's fine.
The more you want to share, it's always makes it
because
better.
I became like a drug dealer through this a little bit.
Okay.
If you can't get to BFF on Friday nights, or you don't live in the Phoenix area, you can stay connected by joining BFF's Subscribe Tribe, where you'll receive their weekly study guide, so you can track with them online. Sign up today on BFF's website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. And don't forget to listen to BFF's weekly video podcast with Debbie G and Sheridan. Their own life experiences and their biblical influence will overhaul your thinking, your identity, and your future. They'll keep you encouraged with some great insight and biblical truth. Just friend them on Facebook or go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. BFF, where you might just discover the best friend forever.
Hey, you're listening to 180 U-Turn. I'm your host, Steve Savant. We're talking to Johnny Brici and his story, and it's going to take a turn for the worse, I'm so sorry to say. But I want to encourage you, really encourage you. Listen, you can't play with legal drugs that you're using illicitly, right? You say, well, hey, Steve, this is pharmaceutical. I don't have to worry about some tainting drugs here, so it's usually pretty straight up. But I'm telling you, it's the gateway to way worse, and we're going to get into that in a second. I've had friends that have overdosed, and when I was young, LSD was the thing. And hallucinogens at that level, with nobody knowing what we were doing, and we did not know what we were doing. Between smoking grass and doing LSD, it was bad. Mm-hmm. And I had people die, friends of mine die, because they did stupid things while they were that kind of high. I thought you would be hip enough. You're hanging around a pharmacy now, you know what's going on, and all of a sudden you run into your first overdose yourself.
Yeah.
I'm in shock because I thought you'd be I thought you would know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I thought I did, but pretty much what happened is when I was working at the pharmacy, what's it called? I was buying street drugs at the same time. At the same time, we'd have like extra meds that we'd have to dispose of. We'd have to get rid of them, and you have to have a witness. You flush them out. There's a whole procedure to it. Mm-hmm. But guess what? The person that was with me, we never flushed them down the toilet. We ended up keeping it for ourselves, and we found a system to be able to take them. So you have to understand, I was having as many pills as I wanted, and you have to understand, I was taking at one time, I was taking sometimes 90 Vicodins a day. A day, and I would sit there. I would take 30, and then every 4 hours, take another 30, and I had like unlimited supplies of pills coming in, through different forms, different
and
ways.
These pills that they're supposed to throw away, apparently expiration date or not, they're still good.
Yeah, they still do, no problem.
I'm thinking about the TV show House MD. He was taking Vicodin all the time for his leg because he got shot in his leg, and I'm thinking, yeah, he was. It looked like he was taking 3 or 4 every 2 or 3 hours. You're telling me you're doing 90 a day.
Yes, I was taking them. Sometimes I would get sick because I would overdose, and I would just kind of, I would have that vomiting kind of sensation. But I would take them to be fully high. I'd go to work, I had to be fully high. So I was taking a lot of pain pills. You know?
So you were functioning.
Oh yeah.
Even at this level.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That again that's another thing that is a setup, because now you say, hey, listen, I go to my job, I get my work done. It's not interfering. That becomes another false comfort.
Oh yeah, I thought I was doing my job really good too. I thought I was doing it better than I could do it without anything.
Right.
Yeah. So then anyway, taking all these things, and then I had an overdose at the pharmacy.
Again, this is your second overdose.
Yeah, this is my first. Sorry, this is my first.
This is your first overdose. Okay.
Yeah, so I had an overdose. I'm sitting there, and what happened, I just kind of, get into this blank state. Everybody starts talking to me. I'm not responding. They're about to call the ambulance. And then I kind of snapped out of it, and then they start like looking at me weird. I'm looking at them weird. I look on the ground. Everything's all, all the pills, everything's on the ground, I'm supposed to be working, and I'm here having an overdose. And then I wake up, and I'm like, what's going on? And they start talking to me. They're looking at me, and they're scared. And I'm scared, like, what's wrong with you guys, And then they start explaining to me, and then it scared me a little bit. I was like, man, something just happened. I was like, this is dangerous. I'm in a pharmacy. I get caught. This is not good.
Right.
And then I had another overdose. Of course, I didn't stop. It scares you, but it doesn't stop you. So then after this, I remember I had my mom was a Christian lady, and she would always invite me. I lived on my own, and she would always invite me to church. And to get her off my back, and just like have peace, because she'd come and cry like, Johnny, this is not good. And I went to church once. It was July, and I remember I went to church, and I just sat there like, whatever, go to the emotions, go to the program. My mom says I'm good. I make her feel good, and that's fine. I get my mom off my back. And then I remember sitting in church. I remember it was July. I stood up, and they were kind of singing a song or something. And then I don't remember nothing. I just remember being in a black a place suspended in the air, and I'm screaming, and I'm trying to get out of this room, and it's black on top, and I can't explain it. I'm looking forward, but I could see behind me, I can see beneath me, I could see in all levels. I remember opening up my mouth, and I felt like this darkness was coming in my mouth, in my ears. It was just thick. It was like a thick black, and screaming that I want to get out of this place. And anyway, I wake up, and when I wake up in the back of the ambulance. They're over there, holding me down, trying to, bring me back. And I look out the windows, and I see everybody outside, and I says, I will never, ever, ever step foot here again. And you think that changed you, but no, that just kind of scared me, but didn't change me.
But by the way, I'm always amazed, and that didn't change you, and that didn't wake you up out of your stupor, right? I mean,
No.
it's just it's amazing. But this time, this confrontation, I mean, I'm going to ask you to interpret this now. Hey, you're in church, and you just had a major overdose episode. Is this evil being confronted by God, or what? What's going on here?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Something's going on. Something's happening. Something was taking place, because you have to say, in my state of my heart at the time when I was going through this, I did not believe in God, and I was like a crazy man.
Okay, wait a minute. I want to stop you there, because you went and so far in the interview, you've said pretty much, hey, there was God and da-da-da, your mom, she believes, blah, blah, blah. What was the tipping point? What was the thing that said, okay, I was believing in God, now I'm not?
Well, the tipping point was pretty much like, if God existed and God was real, he would have revealed himself to me by now. And I don't know him.
But by the way, is that fair to God? Because you really weren't seeking him either.
It's not fair at all.
Okay, so it's unfair. Okay, just making sure. By the way, just asking you, the audience, before you put the blame on God and put the finger on his chest, before you do that, did you legitimately seek him out? He said, seek first the kingdom of God. Well, did you do it, bro?
No, right? I did not.
Yes, okay. So to me, so I'm not blaming God yet. I don't see that, okay. So, and that could be my good Steve Catholic or my good born-again experience. I don't know which one's talking first. But, okay, so this is a trauma, because this was a spiritual trauma. This wasn't just having a regular overdose or a little bad dream here. This was spiritual trauma.
Yeah, absolutely, because I would say, I would invite the devil in my room.
What?
Yeah, okay. He just in the sound says, come, because I don't believe. I said, my mind was like this: if the devil's real, that means definitely God's real. So I was trying to use the devil to show me that God's real.
Oh, that's so another perversion in understanding here.
Yeah, okay. So then I would have like my thoughts would be, I would have thoughts like this. Okay, the God's not revealing himself. He's not real. Like, I'm gonna invite the devil, and I would invite anything to come into my room. And I says that if I'll fight God. This is not fair what he did, how he created me. What I'm going. He doesn't open up to me. I'm gonna join the forces of the devil. I would have thoughts like this. I would join. I'll do whatever he wants. At least he's speaking to me, talking to me. And
Wow.
and then I thought I had all this, because I was like physically training before. I had this mindset, like defend yourself. So I thought that I could do something, and I find myself in that situation when I had the overdose, when I'm suspended in this wherever I was at, I can't do nothing. And I found out that I screamed, I fought, I could not do nothing in my circumstance. And I was like, man, it didn't change me, but it made me think. It really made me think.
In this time period, you spent a pretty good decade in addiction in this level. Now, is this still these kind of drugs? You haven't moved up to meth and heroin or anything like that?
No, I was doing, in that 10 years, it got bad. It started getting really bad. I was taking, I quit my job at the pharmacy because I said, if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to die for sure. Because I cannot stop myself. There's no way I could stop. So I quit my job, and then I was thinking, what's another good career? I was thinking electrical school. So I was like, okay, I like, because I was a worker. So then I joined a JTC electrical school. I went to electrical school. I started doing that. I kind of had some self-control at the time. I wasn't, and then again, I went right back to pills. Then I went, of course, I was smoking weed. I was drinking, like, I would drink a fifth of whiskey a day. And my car was filled with whiskey bottles. My room was a dark room. You come in my room with just whiskey bottles. And any time in this 10-year period, if my conscience began thinking, I would just drink. My conscience started like thinking about anything. I would just take that fifth of whiskey, chug it down, pass out, wake up, do it all over again.
Okay, but still hard liquor and pharmaceutical
pills.
pills.
Yeah, that. And then I started trying heroin. I started smoking heroin.
Smoking it.
Yeah.
Now, did you make a promise to yourself, I'll smoke it, but I'm not going to shoot it?
No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't make no promise. I just said I'll do whatever gets me high.
And so you started smoking it. And then there was another drug that you were looking at the time.
Then what took place is, when you're in drug addiction, for example, you run out of drugs. You don't have it, and you start having withdrawals. So when I started having withdrawals, of course, I'm trying to find whatever I can so I'm not sick. And then what took place, I heard about Suboxone. So I heard about Suboxone. My friends were doing it. They were doing it. You do heroin or you do some kind of pills. You take some Suboxone. It kind of helps you with your withdrawal process. So then I started taking Suboxone. After I was doing Suboxone, then I found out you could go to the doctor. You talk to the doctor and you just tell the doctor, hey, you know what? I'm an addict, and they give you Suboxone. And then I started using this. I started using the doctor, just like my drug dealer. I have to tell them a certain story, and I get what I want. So I call it like a clean drug dealer,
And is this drug, just because it's maybe new to my audience, well, it's not new, but it's maybe new to our listeners. What is the purpose of this drug? What's its main issue, benefit? So
Suboxone is just its main purpose is that you don't start doing like heroin, you don't do pain pills, you don't do some other drugs. It kind of what's it called? It keeps you what's the word I'm looking for? It keeps you functioning, so you can keep a job.
And it helps you so you don't transition into this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But still no good. I mean, this is.
I was using it, to be honest with you. I was not using it I was using it just to kind of stay clean and do drugs on the side. So I was not using it to get. I was using it. I would do my other drugs. I would do and then if I'd get sick, I would have it as a backup. And I started using it pretty much to get high, even off this stuff.
Now the pills aren't that expensive, but heroin is. So where's the money coming from all this?
From work, from stealing.
Okay, so you crossed over from legitimate work, you who came here with a monster work ethic, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, whatever you're earning isn't enough. So now you have to creep into theft.
Yeah. Well, the things back in my time, I could speak more from Portland and Vancouver area. Oxycodones were expensive. They cost me $80 a pill.
Wow.
So heroin was cheaper, and heroin we looked at down upon the time. So I was spending $400 or $500 a day just for my oxy and my pain pill habit.
Wow. When we come back, we're going to follow up on all this on Johnny's story. And listen, don't forget to check out BFF's meeting on Friday nights at 5:30 for food and fellowship, and childcare is provided, and 6:15 for some of the best sharing you've ever experienced. Childcare is provided. For all the information on Beyond Fear to Freedom, go out to their website, beyondfeartofreedom.org. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant. And remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.